All right, Caroline, so glad to have you with us today on the Dr. Doug Show. A couple of topics that I really want to dig into. So thank you so much for being here.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So the first thing I want to get into is these. I'm going to let you define them, but fulvic and humic. I want to get into what these things are, so that our listeners can get a sense of what we're going to talk about and what really the basis of this conversation is about.
Great. You know what I call Fulvic and Humic, Mother Nature's technology, because it's truly, when you understand how it works, you'll understand it's truly a technology that was evolved on the earth for the replenishment of cellular systems and also for the detoxification of cellular systems. So these two molecules, fulvic and humic, have different capacities. They both provide the full spectrum of minerals that a person needs, that any cell on the planet needs. They also provide some specific capacities, up-leveling the uptake of nutrients into the cell, intercellular detoxification, and full system detoxification.
Yeah, thanks for that. And can you clarify a little bit too, what are these things? I mean, when I think of them, because I've heard you describe them in different ways. So I have a hard time wrapping my mind around like, what is it? Because I think of minerals, like I can picture what magnesium looks like in my mind, and different minerals and different vitamins. And I'm a science geek, so I can picture their structure and everything. But when you talk about fulvic and humic, we're talking about something different, right? How do these relate to the minerals themselves? Are they bigger? Are they smaller? Like, how do I picture this in my head?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give you a story because people usually can remember and relate to a story. So imagine an entire rainforest back when the dinosaurs lived, and a huge meteor the size of Mount Everest hit the earth. It killed 75% of all life on earth. And those rainforests decomposed over millennia into a mineral rich substance. In the Himalayas, they call that shilajit. In where we get our particular mineral product, it comes from the Southwest United States, and it's called humate. It's a black crystalline substance, and it is the most mineral rich substance that exists on Earth. Imagine when a plant grows in the earth, the way that it creates all of its structure is by pulling minerals out of the soil. So when those plants decompose, and these are only freshwater plants, not saltwater plants, so not things that occur in the oceans or sea minerals. These are only minerals from freshwater plants. During that decomposition process, there are these two molecules that are created. One is called fulvic, and the other is called humic. They exist in nature always together. So there are many different substances that people have names for: peat and leonardite and humate and shilajit. These are all fulvic and humic substances.
Oh, that's interesting. I want to. I'm actually going to look into more shilajit and stuff later. But before we get to that, if we don't have time to get to that, let's talk about the mineral composition. Because you say full spectrum mineral, and that really speaks to me, because we are, as a practice that is trying to get as much information about mineral deficiencies and vitamin deficiencies as we can. It is impossible, I think, to try to individually replace every single potential deficiency that we have. There's just too many. And people don't want to take that many things anyway. So when you say this is a full spectrum mineral that could potentially improve, we'll talk about cell function in a second, but could potentially improve cell function, improve mineral deficiencies in the body. Can you explain a little bit more about full spectrum, how that works?
Well, it's such an amazing thing, because when I've studied this, I had so many beautiful aha moments. And one of the coolest aha moments was that your body is actually, all of the structure in your body is made of minerals. If you took the water out of your body, you'd be a little pile of minerals. And if you measured the ratios of minerals that pile represented, it would be the same ratios of minerals that are in humic and fulvic. Isn't that interesting? So All of the minerals in your body, of which you have a huge number, many more than the normal ones that people think of taking in pills and powders and drink form. Okay. And so, one of the beautiful things about the humic and fulvic substances is that they provide the full spectrum of minerals naturally formulated in the ratios that your body utilizes minerals and is made of.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I'm always amazed by the difference in response to taking, what could be perceived as large doses of a single mineral, right? So we get on the bone health side, of course, we get people coming in that are taking, grams and grams of calcium as if that's going to fix osteoporosis, which if you're new to this channel and you don't know that we do bone health, we have a whole thing on bone health on a different channel. And it is not a calcium deficiency problem across the board.
Exactly.
But that goes true for other minerals as well, right? And so you had mentioned, we were talking before we started recording about magnesium. I want to get into that, but let's just take a step back and talk bigger picture. So mineral deficiency results in, I think, a lot of different things. One of the things that you and I were talking about before we hit record was mitochondria health, mitochondrial function. And I think this is a really, really important topic because it's hard to measure. As a biomarker driven physician, I don't have a blood test for mitochondrial function. Therefore, it kind of flies under the radar because I don't have, I have a supplement actually that's called mitochondrial function, but it doesn't really do what I think we hope it to do. So can you just give us a little bit of background on kind of mitochondrial health and how you think that this relates to both minerals, but also, health overall, particularly as we age, because that's our audience.
Excellent. So, I think it's really important. There's, people talk a lot about the mitochondria. And so the way I like to give people an overview of it is this. Inside your cells are mitochondria, and these mitochondria generate all of the energy in your body, every single piece. And to get a sense of scale of this, I think it's really good to understand the scale of this. So on my arm here, a single cell might have 12 to 15 mitochondria inside. Okay. In my heart, in a single cell, there's like 5 to 8,000 mitochondria. And in a single neuron, a cell in a neuron in my brain, there could be upwards of 40,000 mitochondria in a single cell. So you have to imagine how much energy is being generated in your body just every moment by all of these mitochondria. Now, the interesting question is, what fuels a mitochondria? There's two things that fuel mitochondria. One is amino acids, and the other is minerals. Now, the thing is, your body makes a lot of amino acids. There are some that you have to ingest, but it does make a lot of them. But it makes no minerals. All of the minerals that you utilize, that your body utilizes, have to be ingested. Now, the problem is that we're all eating foods that have way less nutrition than they did when our grandfather was alive. A single apple, back when our grandfather lived, you'd have to eat like 6 apples to get the same amount of nutrition. And why is that? If you remember that the plants are growing out of the earth and they're sucking the minerals out of the soil. Even a huge redwood tree is made completely of minerals that are sucked out of the soil. Okay. So if you keep growing food in the same soil over and over again, that soil ends up being mineral depleted. This is the problem we have with production farming, even organic production farming, even your backyard garden. Okay. The other big issue is that we're all drinking bottled and filtered water, which mostly is devoid of minerals. So the issue of mineral deficiency, which is driving many of the chronic health conditions that people are experiencing, is literally your body does not have enough minerals for your mitochondria, all those mitochondria inside your cells, to use as cofactors for energy generation. So most people are operating at about, I'm going to be generous and say 40% of the energy that their body needs to just do normal functionality. So what ends up happening is things fall off. The body says, I'm going to focus on the absolute essential elements, and the other things, your skin, your hair, things that people know about, their nails, those things drop off. But other things tend to drop off, like your nervous system gets amped up and you start having anxiety or depression or chronic fatigue, or, just that crash in the middle of the afternoon. So I've gone on.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it's such a great topic that's hard to discuss. And there's not a lot of people that are, actively talking about it, because it's hard to sound intelligent, because there's just not a lot of data to support how to take this to a clinical perspective.
Yes.
And that's really where my interest lies, is how do I take all the cool things that I read about and these ideas that I talk to people about, and then how do I make that actually help my patients?
Well, and that's such an interesting question, because, one of the things about the clinical perspective is that, forgive me, but there's a tendency to think about the body as parts. I've got a heart, I've got a kidney, I've got an endocrine system, I have a cardiovascular system, I've got an adrenals and and when something's wrong, we go to somebody and we work on that particular piece.
Totally.
And then when we think about deficiencies, we think about the body kind of like a car. Okay, I'm going to fill up the tank of magnesium. Somebody said, I need 320 milligrams of magnesium, so I should fill up the tank every day. But it doesn't take into account the natural way the body works and how cellular replenishment actually works in the body.
Right. Well, and it's so challenging too, because we are stuck with the food system that we have. And of course, we encourage people to eat whole foods and organic foods when possible, and regenerative agriculture, and we do all the things. But even with doing that, we're still not going to get all the nutrients we need. And so we are stuck with trying to find a way to help then replenish minerals and vitamins. But, minerals is the topic today. So how do we help people to replenish minerals? And we do recommend supplementation and probably some things that you don't agree with. And that's okay. We see people getting better, right? But I feel like we're missing some of the big picture, which is, how do we provide a more natural solution? And this is where I get really interested in Fulvic and Humic, to say, okay, well, how can we then help somebody who is, as they're aging, and particularly for my interest is in women. So as women are aging, as they're starting to get into this perimenopausal window in their 40s and early 50s, as they start to go through this big transition, this is when I see the energy line just drop off the map, right? So women feel like their energy fell off a cliff. And a lot of times we relate it to hormones. And there is obviously a hormonal impact. But frequently, I see that for younger women in their 40s, their hormones are actually still okay. Or we've already replaced their hormones and their energy is still terrible, or it's 30% better or whatever. So there is something here that I think we could really leverage and improve in doing the magnesium and the CoQ10 and the this and the that. It's filling potholes, but it's not enough.
I say to women, aging women, perimenopausal, I actually say to all women, but because I've also worked with some young 20-year-old. We did a study with a group at Berkeley, and every single one of them, of these young people, students, noticed a huge cognitive increase, ability to get up in the morning and get to studying and all of that kind of thing from taking the minerals. So what you have to think about is, if you can increase the ability of your body to generate energy, you're doing there is the absolute, that's the best that you can do, because your body is a healing machine. Your body is a homeostasis, a balance creating machine. It knows how to do so much. But when it's operating at 40%, it does not have the energy to clear out the toxins, to, work on providing enough adrenal support, to balance the hormones, to provide the thyroid translation process, do that biosynthesis process. It literally doesn't have enough energy. So if you can provide this full spectrum of minerals, and here's the cool thing about Fulvic and Humic. So let me just delve a little bit into how they work, because we talked about how they provide as part of the humic and fulvic molecule, they provide the full spectrum of minerals that your body needs, already formulated in the ratios that your body is made of and utilizes. So that's cool in itself.
Mhm.
But the even more beautiful thing is that they provide the delivery system for the minerals into the cells. So if you think about your body's cells, they evolved on Earth. You're an organism that evolved on the Earth, and all cellular systems work the same way, which means that they all need to get minerals into the cells. So there had to be a natural method, a natural modality for enhancing that uptake. Otherwise, cellular systems wouldn't have thrived on Earth. Okay, so that's fulvic and humic. So in fact, all of the plants, if you look out your window, all of the trees and all of the plants, there are these mycelium, there are fungi that delivers nutritional elements to the roots of trees and plants underneath the earth. And what are they delivering? They're delivering fulvic and humic. So fulvic and humic are two different molecules. They have beautiful capacities. I'm going to describe the fulvic first. It's a very, very small molecule. It's much smaller than a cell. And it's what is called a flavonoid. That's an intercellular transporter. So any channel that opens in the cell wall, the fulvic gets a free pass through because your cells recognize fulvic as a beneficial element. So that fulvic molecule, the channel opens up in the cell wall, the fulvic carries its bolus of nutritional elements that are clinging to it and minerals into the cell. And then it does what no other molecule on Earth can do. It changes its polarity. And when it changes its polarity, all that nutritional content falls off inside the cell. Now it's available to all those mitochondria inside your cell as cofactors for energy production. So fulvic is this incredible enhancer of nutritional uptake into your cells. And when you think about not only just taking minerals, but think about just the food you eat, think about the water you drink. All of that is the uptake of that into your cells. And when you think about cells, that's into your tissues.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to hydrate, use fulvic as a great tool to get more water, more H2O into your cells. But now you have that fulvic molecule inside your cell. It's dropped off all its nutritional content, and now it's in a different polarity. So now what it does is it gathers biowaste, toxins, heavy metals, things like glyphosate or free radicals that have gotten into your cell. So things that are causing oxidative stress and inflammation, and it carries those out of your cell. Then it changes its polarity again, and it drops those things off inside your bloodstream. Now, its partner in health is the humic molecule. And the humic molecule is very different than the fulvic molecule. It's larger, much larger than a cell. It's one of the strongest electrolyte molecules known to man. Has a huge amount of surface area on the outside and all these receptor sites, and things cling to it, like free radicals. It is exponentially the best antioxidant that you can have in your system. Just goes through the bloodstream, gathering free radicals, bio-waste, heavy metals. It's an incredibly effective chelator of heavy metals. It also gathers things like nanoplastics, glyphosate. It builds a film around the glyphosate molecule and begins to break it down very quickly. I mean, the capacity of the humic molecule to not only remove, so ultimately this molecule gets so heavy at a molecular weight that it falls out of solution and it leaves your body through all of the elimination channels, which is a key component because most detoxification protocols require certain pathways to be open. But the humic molecule will leave through any elimination pathway, including your tears, your snot, your sweat, your breath, your skin, rubbing your hands together, the bottoms of your feet, et cetera, et cetera. Wow. So it's well known as one of the things that can move the dial on heavy metal toxicity. on some of the harder ones to move, like mercury and lead. Again, incredibly helpful for removing the dysbiosis effects of glyphosate exposure in the gut, and remediating glyphosate. So these two molecules, humic and fulvic, they work together in this incredibly symbiotic relationship to enhance nutrient uptake into your cells, to enhance intercellular detoxification, and then provide full system detoxification. So if you think of yourself as an aging woman who's going into perimenopause, what better thing could you do for your body but provide the full spectrum of minerals you need, plus the enhancement of nutritional uptake, all the nutrition you put in your mouth and digest into your cells, and also support that full system detoxification, which is just really key in this day and age.
Yeah, well, and it's so hard because we look at detoxing things as well, and everything from, we have biotoxins and plastics and glyphosate, and I mean all the things, right? And when you start testing those things, this is where like our style of practice is challenging, because when we start testing them, we see all these different things, and of course we could prescribe a different treatment for every single one.
Yes.
It's so overwhelming. There's no way to know which is the most relevant. And this is kind of taking care of all of them, which is amazing. So let me just get into this. So when it comes to how to actually put this into action, I know people are going to ask me, I can already anticipate the comments, which I love comments. So please don't not ask them, but let's just anticipate this one, which is, how do I add this to my current stack? If I have, whatever, a 5 supplement stack or 10 or whatever, does this replace anything? Or is this, I don't want to say in addition, but is this a supplement to help everything else work better?
Yes and yes. So one of the things, and I know you're a practitioner, so I don't want to, I know you, I always say you should listen to your practitioner. Okay. From the research that I have done, I am not a proponent of using megadose, measured in milligrams, minerals, mainly because I understand that minerals work in triumvirates and balanced pairs in the body. So when you put, some large amount of minerals into your body, measured in milligrams, your body tries to balance it with the other pairs and triumvirates that it is associated with. So as an example, people are using magnesium for sleep. And I'm going to say that in a few years, people are going to start experiencing the effects of using magnesium for sleep, which is a Band-Aid for your sleep issues. And yes, it will put you to sleep, but it's also creating imbalance in your gut on a daily basis. I spoke with somebody just the other day who takes 1,000 milligrams of potassium every day, and a small amount of other minerals. And I'm like, think about that. So if you think about your gut as this incredibly, if you want it to be a thriving, healthy place, and we know there's all this plant life in it, all this microbial, life that's a lot like a forest. So if you have a really healthy forest where everything's thriving, and you take a wheelbarrow full of potassium or magnesium, you throw it on the forest floor, that area is not going to thrive. Yeah. So if you think about cellular systems and how they operate, and you think about the replenishment system in your body and the way it works, micro amounts, trace amounts of all the minerals that you need is a much more effective way to bring minerals into your system. Now, if you have a very deep depletion, you've done some testing and you understand you have a deep depletion, certainly there are tools for bringing up those deep depletions. But the beautiful thing about humic and fulvic, because of their mineral support and because of their this intercellular transportation capacity and their detox, they support everything else in your stack. So what I say is they are the foundation. And I've talked to practitioner after practitioner, all the other supplement people, we go to trade shows and everyone comes back to me. They're like, nothing here works without what you've got here. Mm-hmm. So if you can take all the supplements you want, and if you don't have an assimilation engine, good cellular permeability, cell wall permeability, and you don't have good transportation, intercellular transportation, most of that, and then you don't have good enzymatic processes in your gut, and you don't have good gut lining, so you don't know how your absorption engine, you see all of these things make it challenging. So what I say is the simplest solution is plant-based humic and fulvic substances.
Yeah.
Now, the one challenge people can have is that humic it is a very powerful detoxifier. So some people can get Herxheimer, which are like histamine responses from a detox response from them. The beautiful thing with our products is because they're liquid, it's really easy to just take less. I take mine in my water here because ever since I had COVID, I will Herx. If I drink it straight as a shot,
Interesting.
I will Herx. But if I drink it in my glass of water, I'm fine. No problem at all.
Yeah. And I take it, I put it in a water bottle, same thing, and just drink it throughout the morning. So that's really interesting. And when I think of it now, I sort of think of it as kind of a foundational layer. And one of the things I'm trying to do for my patients is I'm trying to strip out as many products as we can, because with my background as an orthopedic surgeon, my natural instinct is to just hit things harder. And so when I got into this, functional medicine space, I just started doing everything, and I can't tolerate that, and my patients can't tolerate that. So now we're really going through this process of pulling back and really hitting the fewest things that we can do that have the greatest impact, and allowing the body to do what it does, which is to heal itself. And that's one of the things I love about my background as an osteopath is, that's the foundational principles of being an osteopath, is that the body will heal itself. We just need to get out of the way. And so I think this is really cool because it helps you to do that. I wanted to ask specifically about a couple of different products, because I know you have them behind you. So this is really convenient. Thank you. So you have the Micro Boost, which is both fulvic and humic together, right? And then can you speak to the electrolyte product that comes in the green bottle that's behind you, and then also the sprays? I wanted to dig into the sprays a little bit and when you would use those.
Yeah. So the electrolyzed product is the fulvic product. Okay. You can use this in several ways. Along with Micro Boost, we call the Micro Boost and electrolyzed together. These two products are advanced set. So these provide all the nutritional, the minerals that you need in that full spectrum way that we talked about. They also provide the delivery system for the minerals into your cells, the intercellular detox, and then ultimately the Micro Boost provides that full system detoxification. The electrolytes can also, the beautiful thing about having the fulvic and humic separated is that this becomes your electrolyte supplement. So beyond the normal, you would just take half a cup of each of these every day as your foundational mineral replenishment. But if you're an athlete, if you go to the gym and you feel that little, wobble afterwards and you need a quick electrolyte pick-me-up, you just use a little more electrolytes. You just put a splash in your water bottle or take an extra half cap and you're done. The beautiful thing about these electrolytes is they absorb immediately. They require no digestion. You'll feel them in minutes. You will be aware of the difference. So the salt-based electrolytes that people use, first of all, using those regularly can irritate the lining of the bladder and kidney and cause more urination, which can basically make you flush your system, which is, I call it's irrigation rather than hydration. So this is a tool to support hydration. The Micro Boost, the reason there's fulvic in the Micro Boost is because, remember, fulvic has an ability to change its charge. It actually keeps this solution in a certain pH range that allows the humic to stay in suspension, completely ionized, which means it, again, requires no digestion. It immediately is available for absorption the minute you drink it. Okay. The other thing about this, having it separate, is if you are a sensitive person, you have autoimmune, you've had Lyme's or mycotoxin exposure, or long COVID like me, and you have spike protein loads, then you can just take a smaller amount. You would start with really like a quarter teaspoon in water, 8 ounces of water, and just drink it over a period of time. You do that for a few days and you slowly titrate up, so that you don't have to have any Herxheimer response. So those two tools are the foundational elements for all your mineral. And the thing about them is taking them over time will naturally balance your mineral stores in your body. If you have a very deep depletion and you want to bring it up in a short period of time, they can, your patients could work directly with you using specific mineral supplements to bring them up. But once they're up at that baseline, these should naturally work. If you have imbalances and you're taking these, chances are you have a parasite or some other issue, candida, some other issue that's affecting your absorption.
Yeah.
So then we have the spray. So what sprays? One of them is Instalites. So this is a Fulvic spray. The beautiful thing about Fulvic is that it absorbs directly through any tissue that it touches, because that molecule is much smaller than a cell. So you spray it on, let's say you're a woman who gets menstrual cramps. You spray it on your abdomen, your lower back, your cramps will go away in a few minutes. If you tend towards night cramps, you would spray this on before you went to bed. It absorbs directly through the skin in 3 seconds, directly into the muscle, providing that full spectrum of minerals. You won't get your night cramps. Now, if you do have regular night cramps, it means you need to take minerals internally. All
Right.
cramping in the body is a sign of mineral depletion. We have several other spray products. The one that I really want to talk about for people, and particularly for women who are dealing with that hormonal shift and have some mood issues, or sometimes there's some depression or anxiety, or just issues with anger. If you think about those things in your body, that what they really are is neurotransmitter washes. So if you want to change your neurotransmitter wash in your body in 3 to 5 seconds, you just take Happy Lights. I call it a lighthearted product with serious effects. You spray it and you just breathe it in just like that. And I'm sitting here and now I'm already, okay, now I'm feeling it. You can feel, it's like this, you can feel a shift. It's like a sea change in the body. And it happens because of the electrolyte infusion that you're breathing in through your sinuses. It also has bergamot, and bergamot is an essential oil. They call it nature's Prozac. So your brainstem connected to your olfactory system, which is where your brainstem is where neurotransmitters are triggered. So that's how it shifts your neurotransmitter wash. It's incredible for kids with autism who have outbursts or all sorts of different issues like that.
Yeah, it's funny. I've tried spraying that on my kids and they keep running away from me. So I'll have to keep trying.
Well, what you have to do is you can't spray it on them. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You want to know the trick? What
Show
you
me,
do, okay, the trick is, I always tell parents, don't spray it on them. They won't want that. You spray it on yourself when you're in a bad mood and they're around. You say, I think I need some of this Happy Lights, and you spray it on yourself. Pretty soon they'll start leaning in and going, hey, I need that Happy Lights. Now it starts out as a joke and then it becomes something that, I'm telling you, families love Happy Lights. I've got a lot of teenage girls who swear by Happy Lights.
Yeah. Well, I will take that into consideration. I'm always into parenting advice.
Not
all
mental advice.
Yeah. No, well, so that's great. And I appreciate you going through all those things, because people, it's so hard for them to know like where to start and what do I start with. And so for me, I think using the two liquid products.
Yeah. The electrolytes and microboost.
And the microboost together. Yeah.
The key to everything.
Yeah.
Start there.
And I've been using those now for, gosh, I don't know, probably 3 months. I think we've had them. And I'm obviously starting in a pretty good starting point. But I have sensed I just feel like I don't need to take as much other stuff, and I'm starting to really peel things back. I'm getting biomarkers, to prove this for myself, because I'm so biomarker driven. But it's really interesting. And my wife is using it. She uses the spray. She does have cramps, and she benefits from that. And so I will encourage my kids to do the same. So I'm excited. I'm educating my coaches to make recommendations to our patients as they start having some complaints that make sense for us to use these products as well. Yeah. So I'm excited about it.
What I always recognize or suggest for new practitioners who are is to take that particular patient or client who really comes with a complex set of issues, and they really struggle to gain momentum. in their health.
Mm-hmm.
And try those people first and then watch what happens. It's really interesting. Time and time again, the reports that we hear back are that those are the people that can most feel the difference more quickly from that foundational support of the minerals. They come back, they go, I think I have more energy. Wow, I'm sleeping better.
Yeah.
Wow, things like that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And we have some, not very many, but we have some patients where their biomarkers look great
Mhm.
and they just don't feel better.
Right.
And that's really frustrating for us because it sort of makes us look bad. But more than that, it makes us feel bad that
Yes,
when we don't have the answer for this patient, right?
exactly.
And so yeah, this is an area where we could start leveraging that and say maybe it's just something that we're not able to measure, and let's try this because let's face it, what's the downside?
Exactly. That's the thing that I say. What if that sense that something's missing is just the mitochondria saying, we need minerals.
Right.
you
Yeah,
know?
and we don't have a way to measure that.
Right.
So, all right, well, Caroline, that was really a great introduction, and I think we'll hopefully give our listeners what they were looking for. I always try to keep these a digestible length, so I think we should stop there and let people kind of learn more, and we will add resources at the in the notes, etc., for people to learn more, and obviously link to your website as well as your social media handles, both from Beam Minerals as well as Mineral Geek, which I'm excited to look at that because I haven't seen that yet.
Awesome.
So yeah, I think that was a really fantastic review. Any last minutes thoughts you want to pass on to the listeners?
Just thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure.
Yeah, of course. These are things that I love to get out in front of people. Things that can help, and really anything that is taking us a step back and
Mhm.
away from doing all of these like complex and technology and all the all
Mhm.
of the things that are so shiny and attractive but are distracting from the root of the problem, and trying to get to the root is one of the things we always try to do. So I really appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you're doing, and thank you so much.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So thank you so much for listening to that interview. I hope you found that really helpful. As promised, we have a discount code in the description below for anybody listening to this podcast who wants to check out Beam Minerals. That code is OHH, or Optimal Human Health. If you go to the website at beamminerals.com, and you use the code OHH, or click the link in the description below, and that'll get you there. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel so you can get notifications of new videos that are on this topic and others that are specifically for women that are going through perimenopause and menopause, and struggling with some of the challenges of aging and focusing on HealthSpan. This is what we do. So I'd appreciate you subscribing to this channel or leaving us a review on any of the podcast platforms. If you haven't already and you want to learn more about how we manage our patients and ask us questions specifically, please consider joining our HealthSpan Nation. The HealthSpan Nation is a platform where we offer a weekly Q&A to listeners. They can ask me questions directly. You can listen to them asynchronously and ask them ahead of time, and I'll answer them live. Also have access to our community and other discount codes like the one that I'm talking about today from Beam Minerals. You can look for the link in the description of this video, or go to drdouglucas.com and you can access HealthSpan Nation from there as well. So that's all I have for you today. So remember, my friends, that we are created for greatness. So seek optimal, not average. Don't be afraid to be extraordinary, because you are, and that's what it takes. I'll see you in the next video. This presentation is for general informational purposes only, does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of this information and the materials linked to this presentation are at the user's own risk. The content in this presentation is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions.